Alcatraz's darkest secrets, haunted escapes and deadly battles that shocked the world. Alcatraz, the name alone conjures images of one of the world's most notorious and inescapable prisons. Situated in the middle of San Francisco Bay, it was once home to some of the most dangerous criminals in the United States. But what was it truly like to live behind its towering walls? Was it simply a place of punishment, or was there something more sinister hidden within? In 1962, 3 inmates pulled off one of the most famous escape attempts in history, vanishing without a trace. But what about the thousands of others who spent their lives inside this maximum security prison? What was daily life like for them behind bars in Alcatraz? Was it as brutal as we imagine? Or did the harsh conditions of the rock create something far darker? Alcatraz wasn't just a place for criminals. It was a place where the most hardened men were broken. From the suffocating solitude of solitary confinement to the endless routines, Alcatraz turned time itself into an enemy. But amidst the fear, despair, and punishment, were there other forces at work that kept its residents trapped within not just their cells, but their own minds? Before we dive deep into the chilling reality of what it was like to be an inmate at Alcatraz, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next chapter in our exploration of history's darkest secrets. Alcatraz, a name synonymous with one of the world's most notorious prisons, perched on a solitary island in the middle of San Francisco Bay. It wasn't just a place of punishment, it was a fortress designed to trap both the body and the mind. With just 330 prisoners at any given time, each confined to tiny 5 by 9 foot cells, there was no escape. No windows, no privacy, just cold, unyielding steel. But Alcatraz was more than just a prison. It was a world unto itself, surrounded by treacherous waters, completely isolated. The harsh, monotonous routine of daily life and the constant surveillance made it feel like time itself stood still. For the men inside, Alcatraz wasn't just about physical confinement, it was about breaking their spirits. The isolation here wasn't just external. The silence of the island weighed heavily on its inhabitants, with only the distant sound of the waves crashing against the rocks to break the stillness. Some inmates, after years of living in such extreme conditions, began reporting strange occurrences, whispers in the night, flickering shadows in their cells. Was it their minds unraveling, or was there something more? Could Alcatraz, with all its cold walls and isolation, have been more than just a prison? Was it a place where not just bodies were trapped, but where souls became ensnared in the torment of the past? In 1962, 3 men executed one of the most daring and mysterious prison breaks in history. Frank Morris, along with brothers John and Clarence Anglin, managed to escape Alcatraz in a way that no one had thought possible. They meticulously carved away at their cell walls, slipping through tiny holes to escape the confines of their cells. They climbed into the vents, wriggled through the narrow spaces, and left behind makeshift dummies to trick the guards during nightly head counts. By the time morning came, the trio had vanished. No one knew where they had gone. Despite an exhaustive manhunt, no trace of them was ever found. The official story is that they perished in the cold, choppy waters of San Francisco Bay while attempting to swim to freedom. But some believe they made it out alive, disappearing into the unknown. Their escape an enigma that continues to baffle investigators. Did they escape? Or did they fall victim to the treacherous waters of the bay, swallowed by its depths? The mystery surrounding their disappearance only deepened over the years, with theories ranging from secret hideouts to planned escapes across the mainland. But one thing remains certain: the truth about what happened that night still eludes us. But the mystery doesn't stop there. Alcatraz wasn't just the site of escapes. It was also a place where strange, unexplained events occurred. Even after the prison's closure, stories from former inmates and guards continue to circulate about eerie experiences within those walls. Whispers of footsteps echoing in the night, of shadows that seemed to move on their own, and of voices that weren't there. Some claim these eerie happenings were nothing more than the product of living in such a high-stress, isolated environment. But others, including many of those who spent time behind bars, swear that Alcatraz was haunted. Former inmates have spoken of unexplained noises, and ghostly figures that would appear in the corner of their vision. Could the prison's dark past still be lingering in the very fabric of the building? Was it just the unbearable isolation of the rock playing tricks on their minds? Or was there something more at play here? Something supernatural that had a hold over the very souls of those trapped within its walls? Life inside Alcatraz was anything but ordinary. While inmates were provided with the basics, food, clothing, shelter, and medical care, there was a catch. Everything else had to be earned. The prison operated on a strict system of rewards and punishments, where any privilege, whether it was extra food, visitation rights, or even access to educational programs, was granted only if the inmate behaved. But there was one thing that many people don't know about Alcatraz. The prison had a band. Known as the Rock Islanders, this unique group consisted of inmates who had proven themselves worthy of earning this rare privilege. Playing music wasn't just a distraction, it was a form of therapy, a way to keep their spirits intact amidst the harsh, isolating conditions. Some of the most notorious criminals, like Al Capone, even joined the band, learning to play instruments and performing for other inmates during special events. It wasn't much, but it was a small window of freedom in an otherwise soul-crushing existence. Yet even with privileges like the band or the chance to correspond with the outside world, there was always a dark side to life in Alcatraz. For every inmate who earned the right to feel like a human being, there were many more who faced the oppressive weight of solitary confinement, the whole. But it wasn't just the physical isolation that broke men. Alcatraz was a place where time itself seemed to distort, and the long years of unrelenting monotony began to take a toll on the mind. The most unsettling aspect of Alcatraz wasn't just its brutal regime, it was the unexplained occurrences within its walls. Inmates and guards alike reported eerie phenomena, whispers in the dead of night, footsteps with no one in sight, and doors creaking open by themselves. Was it the isolation playing tricks on their minds, or were these signs of something darker still haunting the island? Then there were the shadows, flickering at the edge of vision, figures appearing in the corners of cells. Could it be the prisoners' minds breaking under pressure, or something more sinister lingering long after the last inmate left? Alcatraz wasn't just a prison for bodies. Was it also a prison for souls? The unexplained events behind its walls suggest something beyond the physical was at work. In 1946, the Battle of Alcatraz marked one of the prison's most intense moments. 6 inmates, led by Bernard Coy, seized weapons and fought against the guards for 2 days. The chaos ended tragically, with 3 prisoners and 2 guards dead. But why did they risk everything in such a brutal attempt? Were they driven to desperation by the prison's conditions? Or did they know something about Alcatraz, a dark truth that pushed them to act? Alcatraz was more than just a prison. For the men who spent time there, it was a place where hope and survival were constantly challenged. The Battle of Alcatraz showed just how far they were willing to go to escape, not only from the prison walls, but from the overwhelming pressure that Alcatraz itself imposed on their minds. Alcatraz wasn't just a prison, it was a place that broke its inhabitants, both physically and mentally. The stories of daring escapes, the relentless isolation, and the psychological toll that each inmate faced are only part of the haunting reality of life inside. But what do you think? What was it truly like to be a prisoner at Alcatraz? Was it simply the harsh conditions, or did the isolation and brutality create something darker, something beyond the physical walls? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. And if you feel that pull to keep searching, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, so you never miss a step in our journey to uncover what still hides on this earth. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.